Well, the message on my screen here says it's showtime. So, with that, it is showtime. This is CV. This is Christianity in Fullness, my live stream. So, this is my 16th live stream now. It is Thursday, October 30th, 2025. Start time 4:30, right about there, Pacific time. The topic of this live stream is why are you not Catholic? Live stream is open to anybody who does join, whether you be a fellow Catholic Christian or non-Catholic. I'm open to having conversations on a variety of topics related to faith, talking about theology, ecclesiology, philosophy, um, whatever topic may arise, and that's what we discuss. But first and foremost, this live stream is geared towards any non-Catholic who wants to tell me why you're not Catholic. I'd like to start with not only your reasons, but also get to know a bit about your own journey, your faith, your background. If you have some belief, whether that be some form of Protestant, or if you are perhaps Muslim or Mormon or LDS or Jehovah's Witness, or possibly Buddhist or Hindu, if you're spiritual but not religious, or if you don't have any belief at all, if you're atheist or agnostic. And I'm here to dialogue with you to find out more about you and see if we can go on a journey towards truth, get to the truth together. And my claim is the fullness of truth can be found within the Catholic Church, which Jesus Christ founded and has existed for 2,000 years now. Both the invisible and visible church. So that'd be the invisible church of the promised, first, the fulfillment of Jesus fulfilling his fulfillment as Messiah and Savior. And the church being the now in Jesus being the promised Messiah and coming to save humanity from sin, and based on passages in Scripture, and starting with the Old Testament of the Messiah coming as a king, and in conjunction with God, restoring order with Israel, and moving the Jews out of this age of sin and breaking away from covenant. This now with Jesus as Messiah and him fulfilling Old Testament prophecies that now he's come to as king, and again in conjunction with God come to restore peace and order and covenant. Well, Jesus is the new covenant. He fulfilled the promises of a new Messiah and a now new and everlasting covenant. And that covenant is salvation through Jesus Christ, through his death and resurrection. And the church, which he founded, really is the new Israel. So that is the church in itself. And that church is all within Jesus now opening up the kingdom of heaven to everyone. And the church helping usher in the kingdom of heaven. And in ushering in the kingdom of heaven, well, now that if you think about the kingdom of heaven, that includes not only God's creation, so everybody here on earth, but also the angels and the saints, everybody. So we're all one body of Christ, one body of believers, one spiritual family. And that's if you figure the invisible, the saints, the angels, you have the triune God, and then the visible church. That's the institution here we have on earth, Catholic Church, and all the parishes throughout the world, and the now about 1.5 billion Catholics we have in the world. Oh, hey there! It is Juan from Venezuela. Hello, sir. Good to see you. God bless you too. Glad you're here. Always great to see you. Enjoy have you come and catch up and have good conversation. So I appreciate you. This is a good hangout for us. So, and I appreciate it. I'm still working on spreading the word about this live stream. I've been ramping up more and more with each time I make an announcement and across social media, YouTube, X, Twitch, Facebook, now to Instagram, and and going back to Facebook, several books. I'm sorry, several books, several groups. So now close to a few dozen groups where I'm posting announcements. But we'll see if we get any traction, see if anybody's interested in having the conversation. I mentioned in my last live stream that I'm going to be proactive as well. I'm going to reach out to several channels out there, whether they be Protestant related or atheist or spiritual, not religious, or agnostic, different flavors of channels, people out there and sharing their thoughts about metaphysics or metaphysical type topics, or and philosophy and our relationship with God, or those who have a lack of belief in God. But basically, I'm going to go out and I'm going to hit many different channels. In fact, that's my plan here over the weekend. I'm going to be sending out a bunch of messages, emails, and the goal is to invite these individuals onto the live stream to have a conversation with me. I prefer a side-by-side dialogue, and that's the goal here. However, if some individuals want to schedule a debate, whether more formal debate or that a dialogue that includes a bit of a debate, that's fine too. Whichever will help us move forward in the conversation and get to an understanding, and again, move towards truth. How's your week been there? Let's see. Oh, good to hear. Yeah, same here. I am actively on the job search, so I'm seeking out a new job opportunity. So that's been an adventure, but I'm praying on it, discerning, working, submitting. Dozens, sometimes hundreds of applications per week, and I have I've participated in a few interviews now within the last couple of weeks, so making some progress, but still actively searching and looking to secure something hopefully soon, but putting a lot of time and effort into that. Oh, you can? Okay, great. All right. Just a second. Ivy, hop in. Let me grab the link here. For those of you watching in the background, thanks for joining. This is Christianity in Fullness. I'm CV. I'm a Catholic Christian theology writer, speaker, and teacher. If you are non-Catholic, I'd love for you to join in this live stream conversation. Love to have a real-time dialogue with you, whether it be audio or video, or if you'd like to start in the comment section, you're welcome to share why you're not Catholic, and we'll have an exchange, and I'll speak and you can type, and we can see how far we can get within the exchange. But I'm also going to add my friend Juan here, fellow Catholics who join here. We have excellent conversations about all things faith related. And I need to find that share. Where is it? There it is. Okay. All right. There you go, sir. Okay. Oh, oops. Hold on. Let me add you to the stage here. Just one sec. Sorry. I am adding Juan to the stage. Atheists don't think. There he is. Good evening, sir.
Hello, hi, how are you?
I'm doing all right here. My allergies are much better than last time we spoke. But, yeah, doing all right here overall. Spending my day, it's been a full time job looking for a new job, but that's to be expected.
What's your background?
Well, to pay my bills, I have a extensive background in information technology related work, IT related work. So,
Really?
uh, it, yeah, it's wow, it's ranged from like um, desktop and uh, both desktop and server support and engineering. I've done a lot of what's called application infrastructure engineering. I've worn many different hats. I've worked as like a project manager. I've worked in leadership roles. A lot of like support related work, though, I'd say in general. Um, so whether it be applications or servers or desktops, and my most recent position was a team manager. So I had 10 people on my team, and so I helped them with their day to day work responsibilities and all that. So I enjoyed that quite a bit. But then I had to leave the organization. Um, I needed to. I chose to do that in May, and then around the same time I was finishing up some postgraduate work anyways, so I took the summer off basically. But now I've been back and actively on the job search. So funny enough, I'll add one more thing. I've also been looking outside of the IT world, like either at if I could find some possibly online theology teaching position or part time, something like that, or something related to theology or philosophy. Been looking in those areas. Yeah, looking at possibly going into a different field altogether. But IT, that's what's paid my bills for many years. So obviously, I'm starting there because I need to, have the stability. So
I've been trying to get into some tech related stuff, but it doesn't drill with me. I don't know. It's
no,
it doesn't become second nature. It just doesn't become second nature.
really.
Yeah, like I've done many courses. It's just that I've never ended up implementing anything about them.
Yeah,
I did some in web dev, Python,
yeah.
some AI courses. I some data analytics, SQL sort of things, and it just doesn't budge. It's definitely must not be my thing, but I'm a stubborn type of person. But I guess it's just not my call, you know.
So it just doesn't grab a hold of your interest. Like it just you're not excited about it. Like
Yeah, no, it's there are times when you're acquiring knowledge and you come up to a realization of something, and that kind of leaves a print into your worldview.
Yeah.
Like you start to feeling some form of obsession. It has never happened with any of those. And the first time I got into philosophy, it just went right through. It became a, how would you say, I really needed to understand it. Like I needed, like you felt that need to, right?
Yeah.
And that has never happened with tech related stuff.
Right. I understand. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's interesting. Something I've observed over the years, as I've been in IT for so long, well over 20 plus years. Um, when I look back to about the late 90s and early 2000s compared to today, it's the average user of today, especially within, I would say, the Generation Z to Generation X, to some degree, Generation X, but mostly I'd say Gen Z and millennials. Um, Many of the users of today, and because technology is so sophisticated and widespread and easily accessible, they're like the experts of then, of the late 90s, or like the average user today. Like at the time that I started in the field, and everything was just growing and exploding in every direction. Like seriously, like my life was like 150 miles an hour for the first several years. Well, even the first 10, 15 years or so, for a variety of reasons. But it was just so much was happening. Technology was advancing so rapidly, like day by day by day. And you're having to hold on and, like, again, just high speed, almost like you're in a jet, flying in a jet through the world of IT, and having to soak up all this knowledge as a IT professional and become an expert in all this. And meanwhile, the everyday person, like I can think of all these people I supported over the years, and back then, computers for them were like seriously like science fiction still, as far as all that was happening in technology. I mean, just everybody was like, I'm just everyday kind of users of just computers are just like, just even trying to click around on icons and use applications and just kind of get used to your Windows, if you're using Microsoft Windows, like just the whole interface, navigating around it. Everything was so magical to them, and it was for tech people too, because it was just fascinating because, oh, you're working in technology and you're supporting it. So that's interesting. But from the user perspective, it was just like IT professionals were um, like like Greek gods or something. It's like they were superhuman and like Marvel superheroes, and it was kind of like this for years. And so now it's interesting to see, particularly like in the last 10 years and within the last now few generations, how you can have like your average 25-year-old or 30-year-old or sort of 35 even or so is, between mobile devices like phones and PCs and everything, you're, moving around like it's no problem at all. Like it's just every day, like drinking water and, eating, sleeping, and taking a shower and stuff like that. It's just, and doing it so like fast paced, like rapidly, like between applications on your phone, and then if you're on your PC, and then what you're doing, and multitasking, and the multitasking, extraordinary multitasking. For me, it's been so fascinating to watch, like in the last 20 years, right? Just everybody grow up into the world of technology, and it become now um, uh, a commodity. In fact, I want to say, I just don't want to talk for too long, but part of my fascination here is I read an essay. In fact, you could even, I would imagine if you Google it, it's still there. This gentleman, he was a Harvard professor, if I'm not mistaken, and the business school. His name was Nicholas Carr. I still remember the name, like Carr, 2 R's, Nicholas Carr. And he wrote an essay, so an article, published piece in 2002, I believe it was. It's 2001, or I think it was 2002. 2002, I think. And he wrote, then the title of the article was IT Doesn't Matter. Like, who cares, right? Like, IT doesn't matter. That was the idea of the article. And it set off like this firestorm in the technology world. Like, CEOs from all the large and popular companies at the time, when this article came out, like everybody lined up against him. But when I read it, it was so telling of today. He was, in my view and my experience, was exactly on point. And here is his point. And then I'll ask you about your thoughts, right? Especially for somebody like you who's right about 30 and you've really grown up, like, seriously, in the world of technology. Like, that's all you really know is all the technology around us. So anyways, here is his thesis, right? Here's his whole point in the article. He said, just as other technologies within the last like 150 years or so, like with the Industrial Revolution, starting with the Industrial Revolution and electricity, right? And then the invention of the telephone and even the automobile and other types of, what would become consumer products. His point is IT is something that one day in the very near future, it'll be like when people first had electricity. It was fascinating. Like, you probably turn your lights on and off and go, wow, that's just amazing. And that's, it's otherworldly. And then eventually people just, what do you do? When you come home, you turn on the lights, on or off, or your TV or whatnot. You're not sitting there going, wow, this is amazing that I just turned on my TV. Or this is so amazing, I just turned on the lights and they just shut off. The point is he says it becomes a commodity. People don't really care anymore. And of course, as it becomes more widely available and popular and, and have more manufactured, then also, you can drive costs down and make it more readily available to the world. So more widespread. And then people it's just a part of everyday life. So you're not really, you lose the sort of the fascination and marvel with it. So that was his point with IT. He says there's going to come a day where people are going to have this amazing technology in front of them. And they'll just be like, that's great. I have it. Right. And so to try to finish my point here, so all these like CEOs from different companies from back then, and even Microsoft and some others that have now gone out of business, but they were all, in fact, there was even, I think, a nationwide, I think, news story regarding this guy's essay, because some people, these CEOs, popular CEOs at the time, they all rallied back against him, saying you're crazy because IT is, it's all about the wonder and the technology, or in the innovation, and innovation is important. And so they were right on one hand that innovation is important. Sure, it's part of the human experience and part of creating technologies and developing them. However, right, where they were missing, and this was his point, is the more something becomes commoditized and so easily available, or what, the more people become apathetic to it, and it's just a part of everyday life, right? And even if there's a next technology like AI, people are starting to invest more in AI, and it is right now, rather fascinating to some extent. But give it another 5-10 years or so forth, and then it'll be part of the mainstream of how we live our lives. So, anyways, all to say, and I'll stop there and then get your thoughts, is he was 100% spot on. He was, and it's a pattern in human development and progress and in history that, sort of like the romance of it eventually, dies out, and then you're just living every day with your incredible phone that can do everything that like 15 different devices could do separately like 20 years ago, and now you have it all on a phone. You understand what I'm saying? And here we are. So
Yeah, it's how would you say? One would say that if you don't live the struggle, you don't get fascinated by this by the solution of the struggle, right?
yeah,
It's kind of like that because for me, technology always advances because the military want it. Then it stales and has to be developed by the private sector, right?
yes,
And the private sector makes it purchasable technology for everyday life. And it's not in the sense of the military invents the technology. It's just that someone comes up with technology, and the military gets interested on it. Then they develop to the point that it solves their needs and release the patents. It's something like that. And then that patent becomes part of everyday life, and the only people that get amused by it are the ones that are living the issue that the technology is looking to face. Because we can go even more remotely to the
right,
point of water ducts, let's say. A water duct is something that's pretty much impressive that some people don't have it. Some people don't have running water at their places. And what's interesting now is when people don't have it. But back then, in the early water ducts, it was really a life changing situation, a life changing development.
yes,
Then humanity developed with running water. So now it's not life changing, now it's part of life, right?
yeah,
But it's completely true that it loses its marvel because, let's say, something that uh, now that you mention it, for me it was never wonderful. Phones on cameras on phones.
really,
For me that yeah, for me that was it was never amazing because my dad he used to be a photographer, and he has a sister. She's also a photographer, so we were always surrounded by pictures. And when you saw the quality of and they had digital cameras, I'm telling you, back in 97, 98, we grew up with high quality cameras. And when I was first introduced to a phone with camera, the quality of the pictures was so low. It was like, why would you want to take pictures with your phone if even the 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 revealed photosensitive cameras had a better printing quality, right? And then they became good. They became really good. But for me, it's never been impressive, and it's because I was always surrounded by high quality cameras and really beautiful pictures, right? So it's pretty much that. Like, you get the impression if you face the struggle, if you face the challenge. But if you've never faced the challenge, the solution's not that impressive. And
right,
that's something that I was told. I don't remember if it was in high school or college, but we were told that we are being in educations in the educational system, you are presented with solutions for problems that you're not having. and that doesn't let you see the marvel of the solution because you've never faced the problem.
Right.
um, well, that's pretty much like the relation of the human with technology. What seems to me really impressive, what's really impressive for me is the technology dependent that we are. How dependent are we on technology?
Mm.
And how resourceful are the people that don't get raised around technology?
Yep.
Those people are really resourceful, while the person that grew with technology, the really simple issues become more challenging. It's amazing.
But here's a question for you. I'm thinking this out loud, so as I'm asking it, to what degree should we rely on technology to entertain us?
That's a really interesting question from the political compass, right?
Right.
There's a the question on the political compass is, there is a preoccupying degree of mixture between information and entertainment.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, I remember the idiot concept from antique Greek, from the archaic Greek, that the idiot
Yeah.
is the person that's self-centered on himself
Yeah.
and doesn't worry or involve with the with the with the with the police. I think it was the name, with the police.
Mhm.
And I don't know. It's like the question was, do we rely too much on on technology to entertain ourselves?
Yeah. Or actually, to what extent? So, to what degree should we use technology as a form of entertainment, as a way to
Uh,
entertain us? Like, should
for
we
me, as
like streaming, streaming channels, well, watching videos, YouTube videos, well, here in the U.S., they often referred to as screen time, like how much time we spend, like
yeah,
screen time, like how much of that screen time should be dedicated to entertainment.
I'm going to be a hypocrite about it,
No,
because
sure,
for
that's
me
okay. Yeah,
it should be as little as possible. But working from home, that's pretty much my everyday life. My everyday
sure.
life is screen time, entertainment, white noise on the background, and it's like it should be as little as possible, because my mom was right, or maybe it was my grandmother, when she said that the screen was going to rot my brain. I used to have a really good memory. Like, I used to have a tremendous memory.
Yeah.
And now I don't know if it was because I was really focused on little, in a very narrow set of things. Like, my when I was a kid, and maybe up until when I was 22, I was really focused. No, no, because it was when I was a kid up until I was maybe 13, because I had a really narrow interest, scope of interest. I used to read a lot, I used to listen to music a lot, and I used to play outside with my friends a lot. Those were my three daily activities.
Mm.
Then the internet came to my life, and I started playing lots of video games.
Yeah.
And I always grew up with video games, but they were not as catchy. They were entertainment, but I always prefer to go out with my friends, and I always prefer to read. But somehow a shift happened in my life that I became really isolated. We moved out of the city to another city. So you have to get new friends, and not everybody lives in the same place as you. Because I used to live in a closed neighborhood, it was a private island with tall buildings. So there were many people, and you had your neighbor friends, right?
Yeah.
Then you move out, and now your only friends are the friends on your school, and they don't live close to you. So my everyday became isolated on the internet, playing video games. And I used to read a lot on the internet as well. I used to read a lot of articles and try to get some new things, to know new things. Then the internet became a problem because we moved from a private island to a really poor neighborhood, because there's where my grandmother used to live. And the internet access became a problem because, as in every poor neighborhood on a country like Venezuela, the valuable things get stolen, and the copper cables of the internet connection, they were really heavy and really valuable, so they get stolen a lot. So then I was no longer isolated with the internet, but only with the video games and the TV. And now I'm living in the isolation with the internet, with YouTube, and with working on the screen. And I don't know, it's like my short term memory is collapsed. I pay attention to the videos that I watch that are of my interest, maybe a teaching on philosophy, a teaching on theology, but that's not entertainment per se. That's a way
Right.
a way of using the technology to educate yourself.
Right. Right.
But you have a limit, and then everything else becomes an entertainment,
Right.
and you don't allow yourself to be bored, and that's a problem, because creativity flows when you're bored. When you're bored, you start paying attention to other things, and you start thinking about them more deeply. And if you're a person, well, you're a musician, right?
Yes.
that can that boredom can serve its purpose.
Yeah.
And that's why I think, yeah, no, we should entertain ourselves with technology as little as we can, because that's time we're not enjoying into growing in some other area, unless you're using it to educate yourself. But I don't. Entertainment is a different concept from educating yourself.
Right. Right. It's a yeah. It's really interesting perspective. I think this term I hear it a lot, and for different reasons in everyday life is balance. Balance, like balancing your work with your life, or work life
Yeah.
balance, or just balance in general, right? And there is some truth to it, and just living life in some moderation, or not being excessive in any one direction. Uh, I thought, yeah, with the media, with so many options in media, like on YouTube and out on X, and platforms with that have so much, have just thousands upon thousands of videos of educational content. So that's great. And well, then again, as long as that educational content is accurate, so there's another challenge right there. It's another splinter to talk about more in depth, because how much do you regulate, which is, or what kind of system do you have of accountability and checks and balances for educational content out there? But if we want to keep the internet in a sense free and open in a space where people, for the most part, for the most part, can put out information there for other people to learn or consume, then if we just grant that we just keep everything as is right now, and then the more beneficial time is on, and well, it's a matter of opinion, obviously, perspective. What may be beneficial to me may not so much be somebody else. Like, I think, the more you can invest in something that isn't going to enrich your knowledge and help you grow in your education and your understanding of the world around you and so forth, well, the better that, it's good that we have that technology and that means. And then there's, of course, to some extent, entertainment. Like, it can be fun, certain types of videos you watch, or some that seem kind of mindless, or but it gets people laughing, or interact, or gets their attention. But then you have, if you go in excessive in any direction, like folks who will just watch mindless all day long videos because they're bored, to your point, whereas they could be spending that time, if they're bored, pursuing some kind of creative outlet, or if they are able to play an instrument or draw or paint or something, and or be more physically active, go out and go for a bike ride, go for a hike. I mean, there's so many different possibilities, right? It's the way you could fill your time, or again, it kind of goes back to that point of where you find the balance. But something I was thinking about when you were talking about, being creative, and sometimes the most productive moments you can have in being creative, or where you can really flourish, or if it first is born out of boredom, if you just sitting there and looking around and looking at the sky, and what how you can fill your time, or how it maybe drives your creative sort of juices. And I could say that with time, I more so, I would say, prior to a few years ago, like spending a lot of time on playing guitar, how I could spend hours, right, sitting there practicing playing and having fun and noodling around. And I've been a composer for most of my guitar playing life, so that's what I wanted to do. I knew when I first started playing guitars, I wanted to write music. It's why I'm one of the worst people to ask to play other people's music. I can pick it up. I've developed a strong ear over the years. I can pick up a lot of different music and play it. And so I know, like, bits and pieces, like patches of things. But I think I know, of anything that has been made, and the genres I like, music I like, in 30 years or so, I can't really play a complete song from beginning to end, because I've never learned like the entire I've always wanted to write and produce and create. And so I can relate to you, what you're saying, that that when you have time where there's just, you're in quiet, or you're in something where you've just literally and figuratively unplugged from the rest of the world, and you're just sitting there in your own head, one, it gives you a bit more breathing room to think, to contemplate, right?
Contemplation.
To grow, and even in your prayer, right, in your contemplation, right? So which then makes me think about the monastics, which is, they were the epitome example of and within religious orders of being, well, in this case, being focused in your faith life and your spiritual growth, but of of appreciating the silence in the world, right? And just thing and wanting to grow your faith and knowledge and understanding, right, into this greater awareness of your relationship with God and be in this full contemplation, you know.
Yeah, no, that's what I've been thinking. Well, not a lot lately, but I I I have thought about it for a really long time. It's the contemplation, how a not a centered state of mind, but finding yourself in a place where you can think deeply about certain subjects really helps for every form of growth that's not external, that's internal growth.
Yeah.
And there's where, in relation to what we're talking about, where creativity flows and
Yeah.
extends itself. And now that we mention it, that's pretty much what we should receive in mass. When you go to the mass
Yeah.
should be a scenario of deep contemplation, and that's why you have the sweet smells and the beautiful music and the beautiful displays, because that sort of scenario leads to a deeper connection with yourself and where you're at. And that reminds me, I think it was Roger Scruton, the guy who said that elegance is to give life to the rest. Give life to the rest in
Huh.
uh,
Yeah.
your the place where you rest, right? Where you're
Right.
just sitting there and doing nothing. It's not the same sitting at a place where there's only a chair. Oh, in relation to sitting in a place where there's beautiful imagery and beautiful music playing at a low volume, and that's those sort of things give life to that state of restfulness where you're sitting, and that enables somehow that enables a deeper contemplation, because it's not there's there's no noise, there's no foul smells, there's no loud sounds, and you're at a beautiful place. That's why, um, let's say, doing philosophy at a mountaintop is better than at a classroom. That's
Yes.
something that I've heard from
Yeah.
many professors, because to be able to connect with that beauty deepens the quality of what you're thinking about, what you're doing. And well, let's um, how will you say, that's another form of beauty in boredom, right? It's
Yeah.
so much better to be bored at a beautiful place than to be entertained in an office. That's what I
Right.
would say. It's like it's much better to be bored at a beautiful place than to be
Yeah.
entertained at your home office. It's
Right.
kind of like that.
Yeah, that makes me have two thoughts. One, in what you just said right now, reminds me of one of my favorite experiences in my life still to this date. And you made an outstanding point here about boredom. Like if you're in nature somewhere where you can really appreciate all of of God's creation, or much of it, that you can uh, experience and be in the moment with it. I've told this story to various people over the years. Time I was down in Brazil. One time I went to this town on the kind of East Coast area called Guarapari, and um, it's in this state. Well, no, that's right next to the state, Espírito Santo. So it's in that state. Anyways, this particular area has, like other cities you can see in parts of South America, where there are mountains, right, kind of as a backdrop for the city, and then there's the ocean. So you kind of get the best of both worlds, and beach. So, anyways, one particular morning, I went for a walk, and just not even a mile, maybe even not even a mile away from where I started the walk, there is a hill, kind of a smaller hill, and so I went on just a small sort of hike over that hill, and then the other side was more coastline, and this coastline was a bit rockier, so there were these big boulders and a little bit of beach sand, but mostly these just kind of big boulders that I had to walk from one to the other, and so I found a spot right kind of by the ocean there, and I was right along a shoreline where I could see out to the east. So it's out to the Atlantic Ocean, and I'm looking out for, it looks forever, and I can also see the beach, the kind of the coastline, which makes sort of like sort of an arc. It does, almost like a crescent moon, what I could see off as I was looking east, and then and out and seeing the ocean. And it's still one of my favorite moments to this day. Like probably one of the most, just almost like overwhelming moments for me, because I spent probably at least, I even lost track of time. I ended up there for at least a couple hours or more. In fact, that's what I mean. I didn't even have the time. I just know it was at least a couple hours much, and just so mesmerized by everything around me. And the experience, the sensation was like I was the only person on Earth. Like I was the last man on Earth. Because there was really not on the other side of the beach. There were maybe some people, out there and, on their blankets and or towels or what, but it was, there were maybe like 40, 50 people or so kind of spread out like beach at that point. And I couldn't really hear them from this other side. Like it was also blocking out the noise, this hill. So it was just me and the quiet in the world and looking out at the ocean. Straight ahead and taking it all in, and kind of like when you're up high in an airplane, how you can have a moment where you feel like small, like like you're like an ant, on and the earth here, kind of in a way sort of being insignificant compared to everything else on the earth. But it was an incredible experience, and then my mind was just like, I was able to just sit and just take everything in and just be in quiet. But then I had just this flood of thoughts. Like, I guess I get so easily fascinated by history, and as much as I studied it and I talk about it and teach it, it's still amazing to me, like what we've accomplished as humankind. Because I'll look across the ocean, and I'll think, I still can't believe that people thought, like from Europe, it was like, here's an idea. Let's, get on these ships that weren't, constructed anywhere near like, in more modern times, but still they were built well enough to go, across the sea and bring over hundreds, thousands, sometimes into the millions of people, eventually populate, this part of the world. You had like the Spanish and then the Portuguese. And it was just so wild to me to think that, you're looking across and it just looks like it's just so impossible that that a group of people get together and they decide to travel thousands of miles to get this destination. And this was one of the shores too where I was sitting, where even well, there were a few main ports where Portuguese ships came in, but there was certainly right around that time. It was almost like going back in history where there were Portuguese settlers who were in this area, and so anyways, there again, it was just like, wow, it's almost like it was surreal for me, quite honestly, Juan. Like, it's like, geez, well, first of all, there's so much beauty all around me, between the beach and the water and the sky and so forth, and then the mountains I could see off to the um, uh, out to the north. I'm sorry, yeah, to the north, um, and just being in total awe, right? But my favorite part being that it just nothing else mattered. Like, even as not even all the thoughts in my head. Like, it was just like I was able to drown out everything that ever existed and just be right there. And it's still, like I said, it's still one of my favorite experiences ever in my entire life. Like, it was just incredible. So
Yeah, you were printing that into your mind.
yeah.
I am. I don't know. I was once told by someone that the way I look at things is as if I wanted to have that perspective that I'm looking at carbon copied into my mind, and that's what beauty does to life. It's like I was once faced with the question about if beauty exists in reality, where's its ontology, right? Where's the ontological status of beauty?
Yeah, beauty, right? Yeah.
And I've not thought about it. I think that was like 3 weeks ago. I've not thought about it ever since I was asked that, because first I was tired, then I didn't know how to go around it. But it's like there are things that are evident to the reason, right? There are things that are evident to your rationale. For instance, the principles that tie the universe together. Those
Mhm.
are reasonable. They are evident for your reason.
Right.
And there are things that are sensible evidence. And somehow beauty is not tangible in the sense of these senses, because what I mean by these senses is that there are things that you can see, there are things that you can touch, there are things that you can hear, right? And those are evident to the senses. But beauty is not evident for the reason itself, and it's not evident to the senses themselves. But you're able to recognize through your reason and your senses that things are beautiful.
Right.
So I don't know where uh, maybe the question was poorly formulated. I don't know, because evidently we know that, well, not evidently, but we know that the source of beauty is God. God is the source of beauty,
Hmm. Right.
and beauty, just like happiness, has some form of fuel for the human soul. The human soul gets fueled by beauty and by happiness and by truth and goodness. But it seems that maybe beauty is in a different category. I don't know. I've not, like I said, I've not been able to go around that.
Yeah.
But look at what you just said, like the experience that you lived. For me, that is kind of like what I was told once, that I want to print those beautiful perspectives that I'm witnessing. Like I want to print them in my mind and to be able to call them forth whenever I want in my mind. And even like we were like see how it goes, right? We were talking about how to deepen the thought and the quality of the thought. We end up talking about beauty and how beauty helps deepen the quality. Hello, little bit. Sorry, I was
Oh yeah.
paying.
Yeah. So he's in the
Glad
house.
you're here. It's like we were talking about how to deepen the quality of the thoughts, and how beauty helps with that. And now we're deeply talking about beauty, and it's just that that's the way it goes. It seems like that's part of human nature. Human nature needs to dwell on beauty, and it's to surround itself with beauty, because that will maybe that will make you more human. That will deepen your humanity status. And it's just, I don't know where I wanted to go with that, but yeah, no, you were printing the experience in your mind, and you can call it forth whenever you want. And that is product of a deeper, how would you say, a deeper state of contemplation, right? A
Right.
deeper state of contemplation is what allows you to call forth those beautiful memories.
That's right.
And it doesn't just end up there, because uh, a couple of months ago, about 6 months ago, I was having a really rock bottom sort of situations.
Hmm.
And as the nature of my daily routine is isolation, one day I thought I wasn't able to sleep like those. I was having a really big trouble sleeping. And one day I went to sleep around 1 a.m. maybe, and woke up around 5. And I was completely restless. I'm like, okay, I felt like I didn't sleep and I'm not sleepy anymore. And what I did was that I went out when I knew the sun was to come out, and I just started looking for it. Like, where will the sun come out from? I was at my apartment, as I told you. I used to live at a private island.
Yeah.
It's not riches or anything. It's just that someone made an artificial island and built buildings on them, right?
Yeah.
I was there, and I went out, and there's the beach, and I was looking for where the sun is coming from. And I did that for about 2 weeks. I started my daily prayer. I started it when I saw the sun rising from the landscape, and those 2 weeks that I did that, felt every single sunrise at the dawn was completely different from the previous one.
Oh wow. So
It's
it's
like
like
not a single sun rise at dawn was the same as the day before. They all looked different. Maybe there
Seriously.
was
Oh,
maybe there was a different behavior on the sea that morning, different cloud pattern, some more or less birds flying, but it's like the landscape was always different, and they were all beautiful in the same way. And then I started getting better. I started racing from that rock bottom, and I could say that that's because beauty does that to the soul. Your human soul longs for beauty because beauty nurtures it, and that gets printed on your human experience. And we gotta thank God for that. There's no reason for beauty if it's not for God.
one literally, right? Thanking God because it then in turn, um, it in turn strengthens your relationship with God, or your, in wanting to be more contemplative. A little bit said it is crazy that we can just build islands.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Indeed. Yeah. Hey, a little bit. So what's happening there? Like, what do you think of what Juan shared? I know he's blowing your mind, but what else? How does one do that? Yeah. Uh, Tell me, just for clarification, Juan, I want to make sure I understood you correctly earlier. When you did live in this environment where you're living in buildings, so uh, multiple tenants in one building, right, and height, kind of taller buildings. Did I understand you correctly where you said that you had a stronger sense of community, that you were closer and more connected with the people who lived in the same building?
I wouldn't say in the same building, but it's just that I'm 30, right?
Yeah.
Practically since the day I was born, I used to live there. I lived there my whole life. I still own my apartment there. My dad
Oh,
bought
really?
it about 50 years ago, maybe
Oh, wow.
40 years ago, I think. My dad
Oh,
bought the apartment, and I was born there practically. And as I was raised there, ever since I was going out of my apartment, I met the kids that used to play football at the court, and we used to play tag it and those sort of kid games, right?
yeah.
That of course that's the way kids make friends. And then when I was 18, we moved out to my grandmother's place in a different city, and there, although I knew the people around my neighborhood at my grandmother's place, I knew them my whole life as well. Um, it's not the same. It's not the same thing, and it was a really dangerous environment. I'm sure you know about the favelas in Brazil.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
pretty much the same. It's pretty much the
Yeah,
same.
I got you. Mhm.
And as I never in my life was prone to criminal activity, but
Well, that's good.
that was the daily bread at my grandmother's neighborhood. So I couldn't connect with my friends there. I used to hang out with them sometimes. Then they started deprecating morally,
Yeah.
and we lived there for about 3 years. And those 3 years were enough to change the way I behaved completely. Because I used to be really active. I used to play sports. I used to be really athletic. I used to be, how would you say, let's say allergic to vices. Everything that
Yeah.
could be a vice, I was allergic to that.
Yeah.
And when we moved back to my grandmother's place, uh, that changed. That completely changed. And how would you say, when I went to college, I went back to my apartment, and there I were with my friends, but I already came with the vices of the neighborhood. It's like, and as you know, you're a young man at college. I started college when I was 16.
Oh wow.
You can do adult things in college that you cannot do at your place.
Right.
So that was another thing. Like if I was never moved out from my apartment, I'm sure that I would have kept my childish uh, state of being through college.
I got you. Yeah. So it was a. So it was enlightening for you. Yeah. For in multiple ways. Right. Your experiences. That's interesting. It's heavy. I brought up. I want to include this into the conversation because a little bit brought up a couple of thoughts. And he's going back to the true, the beautiful, and the good. The good. He mentions, I think it's interesting that beauty, truth, and goodness are virtually distinct, and yet to our deepest senses of being, there isn't even a virtual distinction between them, and that feels intuitive. And then also, at least when we talk about truth, goodness, and beauty in terms of maximal perfection, there doesn't seem to be a virtual distinction, or at least it is
Yes.
difficult to parse out from one to the other. Yeah, it's almost like I don't want to make an exact parallel, but when we think of the our triune God of three distinct persons and one in being and all of what is, well, that is, right? We think of God as the true and the good and the beautiful and existence and essence um and to be, right? To being and itself, the to be. Uh it's you have a sort of similar loose kind of similarity with when you think the true good and the beautiful, right? Of as you summarized it a little bit perfectly. Oh,
I was
almost
thinking
like
about
one in
it.
being but distinct. Yeah.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, good. That was it. That was actually that was.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
I was thinking about a triangle. There are relationships that are triangular, that you can have two corners but not the third corner. In this case, it doesn't happen. This is like, I don't know if there are vice circles. Maybe there are also vice triangles. In this case,
Yeah.
it will be a virtuous triangle, that you cannot have the two missing the third.
Right. Yeah. You need all three. Going back to, I'm going to switch subjects again, or I'm now kind of working,
Go ahead.
trying to include two different subjects at the same time. But the reason I asked you the question about your experience in living in the building, right, the kind of multifamily unit building, and uh, but then you explain more about your situation, your history, and then even you avoiding, like going into a life of of living out, being bad, right? Of, possible a life of crime or just, um, hurting yourself or the people around you. It made me think of and I'll keep this one short because this could blow up into a much, more involved discussion. But I read this book years ago called The Human Zoo. It was actually the author first. His first book was called The Naked Ape, and then he wrote a book called The Human Zoo. This is in the late '60s. And anyways, I believe he was a sociologist and then also a writer. But he was talking about one of the chapters in the book, or one of his points. He he studied, okay, different types of societies and how they structure themselves and which ones would be more communal based on building up or building out. And if I'm not mistaken, he had studied some various communities in South America, right, which contains several countries, right? But I'm trying to remember which countries specifically. I think maybe Venezuela was one of them. I'm not sure, but there were a few I know within South America. And he was talking about how in his study, he found communities that built up and tended to be, at least in, according to his studies, observations, tended to be a bit more communal with one another, and having like closer relationships. He said versus building out like side by side. He said where the more people are spread out, and that then the more isolated they become and less social. However, there are multiple issues with this, and that's why you can go into a much deeper analysis, because you can go to a small town, say of 1,000 people, and they all have like property, land, and live kind of far apart from one another, and yet they could still be a close knit town and with like low or no crime and social, like very socialized, and people having strong community together. And then you can have buildings of multi-floor, multi-family buildings, tenant buildings. I mean, you see this in apartment complexes sometimes, and in bigger cities where people tend to be just more isolated. They live into themselves, they keep to themselves, but don't want to know their neighbors or the apartment across the way. So but I think one of his broader points or main points was that he didn't mean in the context of a big city or an overly congested or populated city, because then he explains many of the issues that come out of living in overly populated places. And that's kind of fascinating because it does you see this quite a bit in big cities, but he was thinking more of smaller towns with buildings where you would build up instead of out, and that would create more of like again, stronger, kind of closer knit communities. So all to say that it made me think of that study and some of what he had observed, and I was like, I need to read the book again, or it's been so many years. But I remember him putting a lot of focus on South America or different areas in South America. So Argentina has the best looking women. Oh my God. Have you been down to South America a little bit?
First thing that I'm going to address is that comment from Lil Bit.
Yeah.
I disagree.
Yeah, I totally disagree too. Yeah.
I disagree. Yeah. For me, I'm not biased towards my country, but the best looking women are the Colombian and the Venezuelan women, and the ones in Brazil that are on that corner between Venezuela and Colombia. I don't know why. Right. I don't think it's me being a nationalist. I don't think so. But
Oh,
for me, it's a completely different palette of of
yeah, I largely
of
agree.
beauty,
Yeah.
of good looks. It's like, and that's another point that I was going to address about little bit comments. Well, look at what you're
Shoot.
saying. They look like Italian models, then they don't look an Argentinian.
Yeah, well, there's such a heavy Italian influence there too, but still, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I was going to address that. Argentina, they
Yeah.
received many migrants from Europe. Sorry about the dogs.
Oh, yeah, they do. Yeah.
They received many, and from many different countries from Europe. But here in Venezuela, we received them as well.
Yeah.
But somehow in Argentina, they have a more, uh, let's say, a more European developed sort of phenotype
Yeah.
than we do. Than we do. And that's why they look so different from the rest of Latin America, because
Right.
they receive, maybe they received more, or maybe they received them earlier, or maybe they were not as segregated as they were here in Venezuela. In Venezuela, they were received, but they were also segregated in the sense of the criollos tend to stay within themselves, and the Europeans, they came with their families. It's kind of like it was not that much of a mixture, let's say, or maybe the quantities were different, right?
Right.
But to another point on what's interesting of beauty, truth, and goodness, and those sort of things, I was going to go with an example of how you ever seen a little kid. I'm saying 4, 5 years old. Whenever he discovers that he likes women because he saw a woman that was so beautiful to its senses that it
Right.
starts his his eyes become really big,
Yeah.
and he becomes shy, and he wants to give little gifts like a here's a flower, here's a note, here's my toy, that sort of thing. It's like, I know that because I have many nephews, sons of my cousins, and we have a really beautiful cousin. She's like a totally different genetic pool from all of us. She's she's not pale. She has like a with color skin, and
Hmm.
most of my family, they are more tanned. They are tanned or darkened tan.
Mhm.
I'm pretty much Spaniard. I really look like, because my dad, he's from Spanish descent,
Yeah.
and my cousin, she has a really beautiful skin color, and her eyes are green, but it's a green that's a like a really clear olive,
Mhm.
and she's blonde. She's naturally blonde, and she's our cousin. And whenever she comes back from, she now lives in Colombia, but whenever she comes back from Colombia to visit on Christmas, and my little nephews, they're 3 or 4 year old, they see her, they start, it's like they've never seen something as beautiful as she. And that's what I mean about how beauty nurtures the soul, and it's a completely human thing to be nurtured by beauty, because the way they start behaving, they start competing with each other for her attention, and it's funny. It's really really funny, but for me it's a demonstration of how beauty uh, uh, does things in us, does things in us, and it's just incredible. It's incredible. It's impressive. It's mesmerizing. It's um inspiring as well. It's like,
Yeah.
it's just wow. How would that life be without beauty? It's
Right.
just, it's incredible. And even kids are able to recognize it. It's like a kid won't be able to tell you what beauty is, nor what truth is, not what goodness is on itself, but they are able to, like little bit said, intuitively recognize it. They are able
Yeah,
to
they can point to it.
recognize
Yeah. Yeah.
the beauty.
Yeah, they recognize beauty. Yeah. Well, I have a few short thoughts in return. The first one's a little bit. Well, my background is Italian, so if you want to say that Italy is the best of everything, that's totally fine. No, uh, just kidding. The second is, oh, geez, what was my second thought? I listen to your a little bit ad lib. I mean, to what we're saying, but um, okay, I lost the second thought, so it probably doesn't even matter. Um, and then the third thought is, where's a question to both of you? Um, well, no, let me think about this question. So, if you, I'm wondering if you could, if, like for example, if you, well, people do it. I mean, well, can live without beauty. In the world. Um,
It's Dostoevsky.
yeah, right, Dostoevsky. Yeah, right. Oh, one of my
Man
favorite
deprived
authors.
of beauty.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's so funny you mentioned that because now I'm thinking about Dostoevsky. Yeah, yeah, one of my favorite authors, um, for sure.
If if you can live without beauty,
Yeah, like
I
would you
will.
be able to? Yeah,
No, I used to be a libertarian, right?
yeah,
And this is a complete tangent, right? But I became radicalized because I had an innate hate for the left. And when I discovered the influential people on the right, on the English speaking world, that kind of radicalized me, then I became overly radicalized by the libertarian movement from Argentina. I'm not sure if you know that the president of Argentina, Javier Milei, is a hardcore libertarian.
Oh
I
yeah, he's a libertarian.
100%
Seriously,
of the worst kind, if I can give you my opinion, right? And
are you serious? Uh,
yes, Javier
Oh
Milei,
wow,
it's a hardcore anarcho-capitalist libertarian.
no kidding.
Yes.
Wow.
Have you read NYPD Libertarian Cop?
No, I haven't. No.
It's
No.
an article that someone, I don't know the author, but he made a satire of a libertarian NYPD investigator, and it's absolutely funny because, as deranged as it is, that's pretty much what libertarianism is at its most extreme. It was an incredible piece. I need to read it again.
Yeah,
But
could you put in, do you have a link to it or anything? Or
libertarian cop, let me see.
yeah, or just
LPD, Libertarian Police Department in the
okay,
New
Libertarian
Yorker.
Police Department.
I'm
In
going
the New
to,
Yorker? It was in the Yorker? Oh wow.
yeah, let me. I think it's from a leftist author, but
Hmm.
it's absolute fun. It's the first time I read it, I was annoyed but entertained. Right?
Yeah, because I thought the president, I thought he's, well, like, unless what I've seen, and this has just been all in the news and interviews with him, that he is totally anti woke, anti left. I understood that.
Yes,
So I
it
thought,
is.
and being
Yes.
anti left, I thought also
No.
that he would be pro values, like, of pro principle and morals and values and having that structure within society and not so every person to himself kind of situation, like I didn't.
Yeah, no. He has
Yeah,
an ordained set of values, right?
yeah.
I don't agree with him, but I used to agree a lot with him. And yeah, no, he's pro-life 100%. He is anti-establishment.
Hmm.
He is he's like a mixture of conservative and libertarian. That's an oxymoron, but he's 100% a hardcore libertarian. But I think it's not in the sense that you manage it on the United States. I think it's on the sense that they managed it in the Austrian school of thought.
Hmm.
And
That's so yeah, that's so interesting. Wow.
yeah, I've been following his career ever since 2017. There's where I became a totally radicalized anti-left, 100% hardcore right, go libertarian, go free market, bunch of things. And to the point is that that sort of mindset led me to a more, and I was studying business administration back then. I have a bachelor in business administration.
Huh.
I was studying it back then. Maybe I was just finished my degree, and I started having a really business oriented mindset. Be productive, be effective, be on the hustle, grinding, making the money, this and that, blah, 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 blah. Be the best salesman. I used to work at sales. Be the
Hmm.
best salesman. Get the most customers. Improve the KPIs because capitalism, 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 right? So beauty was not a thing in my life, and it wasn't a thing in my life for about 4 years. And I wasn't sleeping because I needed to grind, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't care about uh, the beautiful music. I didn't care about things being aesthetically pleasant as long as they fulfill their purpose. I became like a brutalist sort of person. Do you know brutalist architecture?
Right.
Brutalism.
Yeah. So
For me, squared and gray was effective, so it served its purpose.
right. Yeah.
And since I broke from that thanks to philosophy. Then I became a Christian. My life totally deranged. My life split in two because the way I am today, in a sense, is who I always wanted to be when I was 18. But the radicalization I lived made me forget about who I was, and it's been a really it's been a hard path
Mm.
to detach from what I learned when I was a radical libertarian and how I behave and what I used to think and what I used to believe. It was hard to break from that, and now as I lived a life deprived of beauty. I cannot go back. I am not willing to go back. And one of the worst things that I live right now, it's that there's no enough beauty in my life, and it's because of the isolation and the economic situation of the country.
Right.
It's like nobody cares about beauty because as long as you're eating, things will resolve themselves. And it makes a lot of sense that you cannot worry about the transcendental things that matter most when you have an empty stomach, right? And
Yeah.
that's not my
Right.
situation. Thanks to the Lord, of course. But that's the situation that about 90% of people around me live. So their priorities are not the same as mine, and yeah, it's a life without beauty is not something worth living.
Yeah.
In that sense, there's a philosophy professor also from Argentina. He says that with what he knows, he is able to teach whatever he wants, and with the connections he has, he can go and teach whatever he wants at the highest paid universities in Europe, let's say. And he's like, but you know what? My family is here. My family is here in Argentina with me. Why would I want to live the riches of Europe knowing that I won't be happy because what makes me the most happy is my family? My family, my community, the people that I teach to here, the people that I train with, those sorts of relationships he has. He says he prefers to live 75 hard years in Argentina over 90 prosperous years in Europe. And he's able to do both, but he doesn't prefer the latter option.
Yes. Well, he's identified what's most important, right? And this, within the human life or the human experience. It's yeah. That's Well, I have to say, yeah, this is a fantastic perspective on not wanting to live without beauty. I mean, sure, and given, as you mentioned, circumstances and what you see around you, it certainly makes sense. Do you think I maybe sort of in short, do you think there's any positive change in sight? Or is there the situation there, or what? Or is it look like it's going to remain the same, for quite some time, or what? Given, obviously the leadership there and so forth. So, is it?
I don't think things are going to change here.
Yeah.
They've not changed in Cuba. Why will they change
Right.
here?
Right.
I'm I'm not a pessimist, but I just don't trust anything from the government nor the opposition.
All right.
I I don't think that I can give you my real thoughts on what will the solution be. Maybe I can because I'm just going to say that only an external force can undo the power struggle that's happening here, and that's not going to happen.
Yeah. I got you. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, that's right. It is the most important thing. That's right. Along with God. That's right. Yep.
Exactly.
God and
Yes.
family. Yeah.
And that's another point that I wanted to touch when you talked about the building thing.
Yeah.
The thing is that this is something that I've witnessed here, that the poorer the lower class a neighborhood is, the tighter their community.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And I used to live in a really poor neighborhood. Um, I used to have friends that some of them now are dead and they were innocent. Some of them now are dead and they were guilty. And some of them are just living as fast as they can, right? And even if I didn't uh, made communion with them, we were not a community. They looked out for me and I looked out for them because we were thought that dangerous things can happen and we need to be informed as soon as possible when you see something funny.
Sure.
And whenever I came back walking from school, if I saw something funny, I would let the people know, even if I didn't get along with them. And they will look out for me if something funny were to happen to me, because the other friends that I had that did not get along with the ones that were misbehaving, right, having a criminal life, whenever something happened to them, the criminal friends intervened. They resolved, like, and uh, the example aside, the ladies from the neighborhood, they were all with each other for everything. While if you go to my apartment, they were upper class. Nobody cared about anything with anybody. Like, you could be suffering something there and nobody will do anything to assist you. And today, now that everybody is struggling, they are now knit together because now they are no longer upper class. They cannot pretend, let's say, to be different because everybody's suffering the same. And the point was that that is the nuclear family model. The nuclear family model doesn't support a strong community, and the family model that we find in the Bible, the original family model, it was, let's say, the house of Joseph, right? The house
Right, right.
of Jacob.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
what they mean by house is about 100 people, about 200 people are on their house, and that's pretty much a community wherever you go. What
yeah,
we
yeah.
know as community today is what they knew as family back then, even if
Back
they
then,
were not blood related.
right.
And that's why ever since I became a Christian, ooh, let's say thunder.
Wow, that is thunder.
It felt right above the building. The floor is trembling as well. Ever
Wow.
since I became a Christian, my family became the most important as well. It's like I don't want to leave the country. I can do it because I have my family here. It's like what is most beautiful than the family? Only God.
Yeah.
And imagine if you have a godly family. It's even better. It's even more beautiful. Why would you want to leave?
Yeah, to first point you made about this idea of, right, of being a family together, uh, of have a family type relationship, uh, and not everybody is blood related. Now, this is one of the points that Paul makes, and particularly in Corinthians and early Christians, and how they lived in within we now know as we know as the Catholic Church and the first few hundred years. We talked a bit about this a couple of live streams ago, um, when I went into a kind of a more of in-depth explanation about church history and the laity and versus the clergy. But this sense of everybody being in one spiritual family together is really strong in the first part of the Christian movement within the Catholic Church in the first few hundred years. In fact, the Greek term, I've used it before, koinonia. That's
Koinonia.
koinonia. This is this strong sense of being in a spiritual family together, despite not being blood related.
Exactly.
Well, a little bit's just writing away in Spanish here. That's funny.
Well, the first step is to understand it.
That's right.
If you understand it, that's the, I don't know, maybe 2/3, 1/3 of the issue.
Yeah, it looks like you are practicing a little bit. For sure. Yeah, you are. Yeah, I agree. Right. First, if you can understand, that's, yeah, it's certainly important. And then as you mentioned to me recently, that you regarding English, that you can think in English. When you become fluent or more fluent in a language and you're able to think in the language, that's a major achievement. Well,
Yeah, when you don't have to translate your thoughts,
yeah.
that's quite an advancement. I I don't know. One day I just woke up and I knew English. I used to be. I don't know what happened, but people in Latam somehow became bilingual, not totally bilingual, from one day to the other, tacitly, as if it just happened, and I was one of them. It's because I used to translate the songs that I listened to. When I was a kid, I listened to music, looked for the lyrics, and translate them with a dictionary.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you know
Uh,
when cities came
oh, yeah.
with their manual, they had a manual, like a few pages manual, and they had the lyrics of the songs. I used to translate those with a dictionary.
Oh, no
When I was a,
kidding. Really?
yeah, when I was a
That's
kid.
great. Yeah.
And so, suddenly one day I knew English. I was acing my school exams.
Yeah. How long did you take English in school? Like, was it every year, or how did that work?
It was every year, but the best classes I had were on the final 2 years because I was bad at English in the sense of if I was going to be evaluated grammatically in written exams, I was going to pass the exam with a low grade. But if you were going to do the exam orally, we were going to speak in English, I will ace the exam. And
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I discovered that I was good at English in the final course of the third year to last because the teacher, the English teacher, he was an excellent teacher. And he was like, "No, I'm teaching you guys English. You don't need to write. You need to speak. You need to speak."
That's right.
And he thought that had already studied in English. So no, it's just product of music, video games, movies. I used to watch a lot of Friends and Two and a Half Men when I was a teenager, and that English is
Two and a half, man.
so easy to understand.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I could see how that could certainly help. Yeah. So it shows. And you're getting familiar with the colloquial speak, right? How how Americans will speak
Yeah,
English and use certain slangs and expressions and so forth. So that's great. Yeah. Yeah. That's it's yeah it's always yeah that's something else that's always fascinating to me, how people come to learn a language. And um well, as adults, right, versus kids, but yeah, in adult years. Oh,
like if you're going to learn a new language when you're an adult, you must have the gift.
yeah.
If you don't have the gift, it's just hardcore.
Hmm. Well, I think in some people, it depends on where they feel self-conscious. Some people may learn a language quickly or become, fluent fairly quickly. But then I think for many people outside of the United States, I would say, and I would say it's within, okay, accent and intonation when you speak. Like, I could say many, I can't speak for every American or here in the US, but I think a lot of Americans, when we learn a language, because within the US, it's such a it's such a immense cultural or cultural melting pot. Like, we have everybody from every part of the world, country here in the United States, right? Just in the borough Queens, in Queens, New York, there's something like over 500 spoken languages, including like different dialects and whatnot. And then throughout the US, you have people, again, from all different countries and their languages. And when they speak English, many typically have an accent. So we have we probably have hundreds of different forms of like accents in English from all these people who speak English as a second language from these other countries. And of course, sometimes as Americans here, we imitate the accent, like somebody who's Chinese who speaks English as a second language. We'll kind of poke fun, or somebody who's from India, or somebody who is from like a Spanish speaking country. Right? It's like people sometimes do impressions of how other people speak English and their accents,
Yeah.
right? But I think, but there seems to be like, that seems to be more sort of like accepted, in my opinion, and fun, and everybody gets a good laugh out of it, and we have a good time. Whereas I would say, in my experience outside of the United States, if it's learning or being, trying to understand a language or learn a language that's outside of like English or Portuguese, or is this, like, I think people, especially Americans, tend to feel a lot more self-conscious about how they're going to sound to other people, right? And I've noticed this with Spanish speakers, for example, from different countries. Like, you'll have an American trying to speak, Spanish, and his pronunciation is awful. It's bad. And, you could have Spanish speakers sitting there going, laughing, because they just think it's funny to hear the wrong pronunciation or whatnot. And I think sometimes, like I've said, I think Americans in general, in studying a language, tend to get really self-conscious about that. And it could, of course, again, it can vary from person to person. Some people, like here, I could say in the United States, like, I don't care so much about the accent. If somebody's coming from another country and speaks English, I just want to make sure I can understand them clearly. That's what matters to me most. That's it. When they speak English, as long as I can follow them clearly, that's, it's most important. And I've been around so many accents my whole life, it's just kind of second nature anyways. But then when Americans travel abroad, it's like they feel like they're almost like, naked in this new environment, and everybody's pointing and laughing. That's what, so it just, and maybe people from other countries probably think the same, maybe to some extent, about Americans when they come into the US, and or people are going to laugh at their accent or when they speak English. And yeah, there's probably, some of that, but yeah, it's funny. I think at the minimum, what's great though in 2025, and with all the different language applications out there, and the opportunity to become more fluent in other languages, I think it's super. I think it's great that we have that. What is Little Bit saying here?
He thinks Argentinian women from Argentina are the most beautiful because he had an Argentina.
He still thinks that? Oh my God, I can't.
Because he has a bias.
So let me, and I don't know if you agree with this, Juan, but I'm going to set the record straight about Argentinian women here, okay, for a little bit, right? It's sort of similar to women in Brazil, all right? Now, people are people wherever you go, right? So when we look at just in a maybe a superficial way, when we look at beauty, physical beauty, right, and what is, we find, really appealing and really beautiful to us, what we find attractive, and that can vary from person to person. But if you just want to say general attractiveness, Argentinian women, and I would even apply this to many Brazilian women, right? And again, it's hard to generalize sometimes because you're talking many people from different backgrounds and genetics, and how their features and their faces and how they're formed and what. But again, if I'm going to keep it still pretty broad or general, here's what I've noticed versus, and to your point, Juan, about like say Venezuela and like Colombia, okay, is in Argentina and like Brazil, many women, in my opinion, are maybe more, you could say, sort of average looking in appearance. They're not like strikingly beautiful, I would say, per se. Maybe kind of cute. We use that expression here. Or again, you may be more average or plain looking. but how they wear their hair and their clothes, like, can be really fashionable, and how they, um, the combination of how they dress and then how they express themselves when they're talking and interacting. Because obviously there's a personality part, which also adds to attraction. But that's what I found is sort of kind of the secret sauce, so to speak, among, say, like if you look at Argentinian or Brazilian, is not necessarily. And it's funny when I hear Americans will say like, "Oh, wow, Brazilians are the most beautiful people in the world," or whatnot. And well, no, I would kind of disagree. Sure, I've seen attractive people, like objectively attractive people, that exists everywhere. But I think it's the fashion and knowing how to, like, a lot of Brazilian women dress like really well. They know how to dress, for their kind of in a fashion sense and for the body types and so forth. And I think Argentinians know how to, sort of do the same. But if you took them in just like regular, plain or boring clothes, they would. You understand what I'm saying? They would
Yeah,
probably look more average. That's what I mean, in appearance. So, whereas when you say like Venezuela and Colombia, you see women there who are just more objectively beautiful, pretty, right? They could probably wear something like plain looking or be well dressed and still be attractive either way. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So, yeah,
Little
yeah.
bit is trying to rage bait me.
He's pulling off the gloves. Oh, now he's saying suck at baseball. Okay, I'm gonna stay out of this one. Wow.
He's trying to rage bait me. I'm not gonna fall
Yeah,
for
yeah.
it.
Is that gonna rage bait you? That's like,
Yeah, no, I get what you
uh,
say, and I will say that that's also true for the Venezuelan and Colombian women. Like they are good at making themselves up.
yeah,
They're good at that. It's like, if we were to talk about the natural beauty of the women here, I don't think that the well, no, it also depends. It also depends because you can have a women with European phenotypics with, I don't know, really hard looking features,
yeah,
and a Caribbean woman with really soft features that she's just dark haired and tanned skin. But the fact that
right.
her features are softer than the European woman that has the beautiful features, beautiful quote unquote, right?
Yeah,
Um, it's how- to the end, it's like the one that makes herself up more aesthetically pleasing will take the crown. That's pretty
yeah,
much what happens in beauty pageants. It's like, yeah,
yeah,
they're all good looking, beautiful, but the one that's better made up will win
yeah.
the thing.
Yeah, the illusion of makeup, that's for sure. Right. Yeah.
And I mean makeup as in as a whole, like from head to toes. Makeup as
Right,
a
from
whole, like
everything,
the
from
way
head to
she
toe, right?
dressed, the way she.
Yeah.
It's like that's a joke around here in the Caribbean countries because we get many people from outside that they come looking for women, and the ones that do know they're average looking, they make themselves up for the opportunity of meeting any stranger.
Sure.
It's like that happens everywhere. I'm not condemning that. It's like it's just natural. But yeah, like, for me, the ones that make themselves the most and better are the Venezuelan and the Colombian women. I think
Yeah, I hear you.
they have it in her genes.
This is something else that's always been interesting to me because this is pretty common, right? From like men in the U.S. or even from some parts of Europe, where they'll go sort of harvesting for like women from Venezuela, or even to some extent Brazil, I could even say, and even Colombia.
Everywhere,
That's a popular
everywhere.
one. It's so interesting. Like when you have people who focus on a certain, even the Philippines. That's another one. It's a common one. Like where you just focus on a certain group of people or a country and be like, um, that's where I'm going to find, the women. Like, the woman I want. That's
It's around here. The average-looking man in the United States and Europe, it's like a 12 in this side of the aisle.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
It's just
That's
like
always
that.
been amazing to me too. Seriously, yeah,
And the other way
yeah,
around as well. Like you don't know. I don't know how some really average-looking men with really hard features here in Latin America go to, let's say, Russia and land themselves something that they could have never get here.
that's right.
And I don't know. I think it's because it's a different flavor. It's a different flavor. It's something that they're not used to. Nobody like it's out. It's out of your regular. So it's more impressive. It's more entertaining. It's more interesting. Everything piles up. It's funny for me. It's funny. Like I had a friend. She was a hostess at hotels here in Venezuela,
Yeah.
and she used to talk about the, let's call them, the passport bros. And I'm like, they're all the same. Like you're telling
Yeah.
me something about. It's like they always came here. They are depressed. They are uh, at the worst of their lives, and
Yeah,
they came
midlife. Yeah.
to. No, even
Yeah.
people around 27, 28 years old, they
No
come
kidding.
from they come
Yeah.
from those countries with a really plumbing depression, seeking for new experiences uh, and in search for enlightenment and the meaning of life or something like that. And it's
Yeah.
like, girl, they're all the same. It's like it's uh, whenever you try to tell something about one, I can think about maybe another 20 that are exactly like that. And it's like I don't condemn it. It's just that it's all the same. It's always the same. Maybe they came because one of their friends came and went.
Right.
He came, he went, he said, "Hey, let's save for a year and go for a trip. You're gonna love it. Your life's going to change." And it's true. Their lives changed.
They do. Right. Yeah.
It was
I don't know. There's a part of it to me that's just kind of weird. I mean, I can understand that the world really, again, we're all human beings, and if there's an opportunity to meet somebody somewhere else, and not to say that the idea of itself is a problem, but I think when it becomes, like you use the term passport bros, when it becomes almost like a fetish in a way, or
yeah.
some kind of, yeah, when it's so focused on, I've got to go and sort of plunder Venezuela. You know what I'm saying? Go and uh, for women in a particular place. I just Little Bit's asking if it's cheap to vacation in Venezuela. So he's
Not lately, no, no.
yeah,
Venezuela became a really expensive third world country. Like
uh,
I'm not suffering economically, thanks to God,
yeah,
but things are expensive for me,
yeah,
and they are impossible for many people that I know.
yeah,
If things are not easy for me, well, I also I am the main source of income from for my family.
yeah.
So that's another step on the difficulty. But even with my responsibilities, I'm not suffering economically yet. It's hard. The other people, the people that I know, they do face a, we call it a tight spot, a really tight situation. Most of
Sure,
the
sure.
time, most of the days, they're in a tight spot, a really tight spot. And it's because things here are expensive, really, really expensive. Like if you want a passport, bro, around here, I wouldn't suggest you here in Venezuela, but maybe Peru, Brazil, uh, Uruguay, Chile. They are a little less dangerous, I would say. They're a little
Yeah.
less dangerous.
Yeah.
And maybe you
Huh.
find yourself your wife around here. People here are Catholic too.
That's right. Yeah. So there's one positive, right? So far. Yeah. That's what, Menta, Juan, what does your girlfriend work, or what does she do for work? Does she?
She's a virtual assistant for a law firm.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yes.
Well, that's good to hear. I think little bit is kind of one. Yeah, I think he's moving the direction of turning you into a matchmaker. I'm just warning you. So,
Well, I can receive you. I have a house on the beach.
perfect. See, there you go. There you go. There you go. A little bit. He goes to Venezuela and he finds an evangelical wife. That's hilarious.
I'll bring you to my
Uh,
parish. I'm sure there are
yeah,
beautiful women there.
yeah, right. Jesus, that's so dumb. Uh,
This conversation derailed all the way.
Boy, I tell you what, yeah, thanks guys. No, but actually it's fun. Probably was good to lighten it up a bit too. So
Yeah.
and actually I'm 2 hours and 12 minutes in here too, so I even lost track of time. I need to close shop here for the evening and take a break. But I'm glad you guys, seriously, I'm glad you guys are here and show up and hang out with me. I appreciate you guys. Seriously, I do. And um I'll be back on again um next Tuesday. Uh, hey, I want to run an idea by the both of you real quick, okay? And then I seriously need to close too here. I've been debating, in addition to some videos I want to make here. I still have a list of some videos I still want to make. I've been debating this idea of having like a live stream scripture study on based on the mass readings. I'd really love to do it daily, like not more than like 30 minutes or so. I'm not looking for like an hour or 2 hour stream. I could record the videos as well, and I know there are a few other channels and options for, and even apps for reading the daily readings and getting the commentary and even some of the interpretation. But I want to do this for a purpose, like to kind of maybe build up a like an ongoing like group, like kind of Catholic group of where we could read the readings, go through the readings together. I would give from, say like a theology perspective or what, I would give some comments about each of the readings, maybe have some general discussion about it. And then again, I was thinking like doing these in like 30-minute, but no more maximum, not maximum, say like 30 minutes, right about that. You tell me like in maybe under a minute or so, a couple of minutes, what are your thoughts? Start with you, Juan. Do you think that's possibly a good idea? Or...
That's an incredible idea.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Even better. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm
Uh,
always for a theological conversation, absolutely,
okay.
and with people formed in scripture, even more, even more. So if we're going to do a Bible study session, I'm absolutely delighted by the idea.
Okay, super. Yeah, and I would do say it would be something if, not everybody can show up every single day, but I would have it like at a specific time. So it'd be the same time every day, right? That live stream. And again, no more than 30 minutes. So for you, Little Bit, because Little Bit's asked me to restate it, would you be open, Little Bit, I would create a live stream like a daily, it would be no more than 30 minutes, and it would be a Catholic study, but on the mass readings for that day. So I would read each of the readings. So I would do a screen share. We would read together each reading, and then I would give an interpretation and commentary, and um, based on our church magisterium and how we are to read and interpret the Bible, including using the four senses of Scripture. I would approach it from like here's a Catholic theologian hosting a Bible study, right, for fellow Catholics, and so I would share my insight, and then I would open up still for conversation. So this isn't all about me. This is for us to come together and have this, again, daily. Does that make sense? Oh, okay. Well, it doesn't matter. Even if you don't have a mic, that's fine. If you want to just even type. The idea itself, though, that's what I'm looking to do, and it would be, again, same time every day, right?
This will be a great use of technology.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And part of the reason why I ask is you both know I'm teaching the understanding the Bible course. So I've taught 2 sessions now. I have 3 more to go, and that's why it kind of hit me. I've been working on this idea somewhat over the past several weeks, but in teaching this course, and because it is important to be grounded in Scripture, Saint Jerome said, "Ignorance of Scripture is ignorance of Christ," right? And it's the Word of God. It's central to our faith. I thought, yeah, there are other options out there where people can watch pre-recorded or what. But yeah, what if it was in a live stream format again, where similar to if either of you know of Keith Nestor, he started now 5 years ago. He started what's called the Rosary Crew. They say the Rosary every day. He leads it, and it it's grown. It has this incredible following, and so I was thinking of doing something different, but the daily mass readings, right? And so like the mass readings crew, something like that, or the scripture crew, like let's call it that, like the scriptures crew, or something like. And then we meet at our set time every day. And so, anyways, you get the idea. So yeah. So
It's a wonderful idea, and
okay.
The daily reading, that's something that I'm trying to get a habit on lately. But I've been waking up really late lately, so I don't grasp on it.
Yeah, sure. Okay. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, guys. I know we're heading towards the end of the week, but I'm gonna get it a bit more organized here over the weekend, in addition to some other things I'll be doing. I'll do that, and if you guys are open, I could start it as soon as Monday next week and set the time, and then we just see how it goes, like run the experiment. Oh.
Let's go.
Yeah, a little bit. I'm talking about the actual daily mass reading. So whatever is the lectionary for this year, I'm going to read from the scheduled readings. Yep. So okay, cool. All right, guys. So so stay tuned for a announcement I'll put out for that live stream. I'll start at Monday, and we'll go from there. In the meantime, I'm going to get going here. It's great being with you guys tonight. God bless you as always, and we'll catch up again soon then. So
I'll be seeing you around.
All right. See you a little bit. All right, guys. See you later.